Hey guys, it's me Madison. So I know it's been a while and I haven't made a video in here for about a week or two now, but I have a good explanation and reasoning why I haven't been on YouTube or making videos recently. So if you guys want to see that, just make sure to keep watching this video where I tell all about my experience so far as a worker of the McDonald's company. As you can see, I'm wearing my uniform. I took off my hat because it doesn't look so great in the video, but I will be explaining all about my job, what I do, how I like it, and just explaining everything about how you could get a job at McDonald's and just the whole process. So if you guys want to see how I got my job and how my job is now, then make sure to keep watching this video. And yeah, so let's get into the video. Okay, so first I guess I'll just start off by saying how I got my job at McDonald's and my whole interview process and all the stuff I had to go through to get this job. So at some McDonald's restaurants, you have to be 14 years old, and some places you have to be 16. So that's the minimum age requirement to work there, but it just depends on if they're a company or a franchise-owned building. So the buildings are all different, like whether they are for training, like younger kids, or if they're just for any people who want to be hired, so any age range employees. So that's what the difference is in like age requirement for hiring at different McDonald's. So I would recommend just calling any McDonald's restaurants near you if you are wanting to be hired at one of those restaurants and asking what the minimum age requirement is to work at McDonald's if you do want to work there, if you are younger, sorry. Otherwise, if you are 16 or older, that shouldn't be a problem. You can work at any of those places, but certain places have certain age requirements, so just keep that in mind when you are looking to get a job at McDonald's. So I'm not going to say how old I am, but I am in the younger age range. So for me, I could only work at this one place because it was closer to my house versus another place which was further from my house, and one place was less busy than the other, and one place just had a ton of employees and one place had less. So it just all depends on your needs, your availability, everything like that. Keep that in mind if you are picking a restaurant that you want to work at, so that like those are kind of the things I was thinking of when I was picking a restaurant myself to work for. So that was what I kept in mind. So I filled out applications for a couple different places, actually. My goodness, I'm not very good at talking today. So I filled out a McDonald's application. I think that was one of the first ones I filled out. So I filled that out. I turned it in as soon as I could. And one thing that you need to know when filling out applications is the best thing that you can do is if you fill out an application and you bring it into the restaurant, you need to ask for a manager and then hand it to the manager and ask if they're hiring part-time or full-time, whichever you would like to be working as. And then if they say yes, then say, I filled out an application, and then you hand them your application, and they will tell you that they'll like go over your application and they'll call you in a couple days or a week or however much time they give you. So the manager that I talked to, she said she'd call me in a couple days, and so the longest I would recommend waiting, I waited myself about a week, maybe a little less than a week, maybe like 5 days. And then what's best to do is to have you call back. So I would just call the restaurant back and ask, hey, are you still hiring part-time or full-time? I turned in an application about a week ago, and I was just wondering if you guys had looked at it. So that is what I did personally, is I called the restaurant back. And when you do that, it just like gives them a better opportunity. They will more likely look at your application versus any other people, because you would call back to check up like you're more interested in the job and you're really wanting this. So they'll pay more attention to you if you call back and like you're checking up yourself, because that just proves that you're invested and you really want this job. So that is a tip that I recommend that all people do if you are looking for a job. So the manager at the restaurant called me back about a day or two after. I want to say it was the day after. And she said she'd gone over my application and she would like to have me come in for an interview. So we scheduled a time, and it was, I believe, yeah, it was the next day. So I scheduled a time for the next day when I was available to go in. And for an interview, you want to make sure you're not dressed up to the extreme. You don't want to be in like a suit, a tie, or like this really fancy dress. You just want to be like casually dressed but nice. So I just wore like a nice tank top that was more like blousey material, and then some jeans, because you don't want to be like in a sweatshirt and some sweatpants, because you want to look nice nice and presentable, because that will give them a good first impression, and first impressions are everything. So that's what I recommend wearing to an interview. So I showed up there, and you always want to show up a couple minutes early. I was there about 10 minutes early, and then you just let the person know, whoever's working at the front counter, whether it's the manager that you're talking to or someone else, you just want to let them know that you are there for your interview, and then they will interview you.
My interview was super short. She just asked me my name. She was like, I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't be working here.
So she scheduled me for orientation. That is another thing you will do if you're working at a fast food restaurant. I'm not sure if it's different. At different places you're applying to work, they have like orientation, training, something like that, in like that vicinity, if you know what I mean. You just have to do something before you can just start working there. You need to be trained, and they need to tell you rules, paperwork, all that fun stuff. So then I got scheduled for orientation, and I went to the orientation, and some places, I'm pretty sure most places you get paid orientation, but mine was about an hour long. Places vary. It just depends on
how many rules there are and how like specific the person is in explaining, whether you're watching videos. So mine was about an hour long, maybe a little over an hour, but not much. And first you start off by filling out paperwork, because if you need to.
And then at orientation, they will give you.
So these are shirts that they give you. It's just a button-down shirt. It has a little McDonald's in here with a collar. And then I got this hat. Actually, mine's a visor. Usually girls get visors and guys get hats, but you can pick either or. Just I got a visor.
So once you have your uniform, you just need to wear your shirt, your hat or visor. And when I went to my orientation, they didn't have any hats or visors, so I just had to wait, and you just let them know that they didn't have any available. And my manager actually had one, so a couple days later I got one. But just let them know about that. If anything is late or they don't have it, they can probably get one for you, or they'll understand. And then you need to wear black dress pants. There's no exceptions. You cannot wear black jeans, leggings, jeans. They have to be black dress pants, and they have to like go all the way down and like cover your socks. And you have to have these certain shoes. They're called, like, the ones I have are safety shoes. And they may not look the cutest, but they do the job, let me tell you, because in fast food restaurants, the floors are usually, they either have food on them.
Oil, grease, whatever it is. There's just stuff, water, there's always stuff all over the floor. And if you're wearing just regular shoes, you will, those shoes.
So the next thing I'll talk about is, for me at least, like breaks and stuff. So if I am working any less than 5 hours, I do not get a break. So my shifts are usually 3 hours or 5 hours. So I have not gotten any breaks yet. That's just my personal restaurant though. All restaurants are different. Some are like 2 hours, some are over 6 hours. It just depends. And then you get different like amounts of time for breaks. And also depending on your age, they'll give you a longer break or shorter break. Or you can have the choice to not have a break if you're over 16, I believe. So if I work more than 5 hours, I can get a break. I believe it's either 15 minutes, and then there's like a 32-minute break. I don't know why 32 minutes, but you have to have a break just because you can't be standing the whole time. Although standing for 5 hours, it may not be the most fun thing, but the job itself makes up for it. I mean, you'll have a ton of fun. So for me at least, I started out working at the front register. So I just work the cash register, I clean stuff, and then I'll bag food. I haven't done drive-thru yet, but that's probably a good thing because drive-thru is always insane. But at the restaurant that I work at, it's not usually super busy inside the restaurant on weekends, but I notice during weekdays, like around lunchtime, it gets super, super, super busy. So just know that. On my first day of work, I was working for 5 hours. It was kind of a longer shift for a first day of work, I would say. And I watched someone for about 10 minutes on the register. And let me just tell you, this register has so many buttons. So many. There's so many like different pages and buttons and all these pictures, and it's so confusing. So it took me a while to just even see what she had to do to like open the drawer and stuff. And after 10 minutes of watching, she's like, "Oh, do you want to try one?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure, but I might need your help," because I was still real confused. I didn't understand what this was. So I took one person's order, and I did it fine. And then she did that for about 5 more minutes until she's like, okay, you try these next few people. So she threw me on the register on my first day. And let me tell you, you learn a lot in the first day. The first day I came home knowing so much, because being on a register on your first day, which for me was a Thursday because it was still summertime and it was so busy, you will learn a lot, but it is definitely helpful because I did mess up a couple orders, but you will learn where everything is and you'll get to know things better so that when you come in for your next shifts, you'll just be at the front register. And I'm usually the only person that's ever up there. So if I need help, I can always ask someone. But at least that's how it was for me. They just put me up there first. And as harsh as some people may think that it is very helpful just because you kind of learn things and how to do them on your own rather than someone next to you always being there to help you, because that's not going to be the reality of working a job and having 5-hour shifts of working a register by yourself. So yeah, that's been my experience so far. I'm really liking the job, and I think if you guys want to get a job, definitely apply for McDonald's. It is a great place. The environment is awesome. The workers that I have at my restaurant are wonderful. There's a ton of other people that are close to my age, and it's great. Everyone's so nice. And while you might make a few mistakes, it's okay. You're just starting. You have to know that things will get better, and it will be a really fun job. So just stick it out and see if you like it or not. But that's what I would recommend if you are looking to get a job. McDonald's is definitely a great place and a good option to consider. So yeah, this is my video all about my job. If you want to get a job and just any job opportunities in general. So this is all about McDonald's and how I've liked my job so far. Also, one thing that's just a surprise, I'm sure you guys have noticed, I didn't mention this before. I got my hair cut, if you couldn't tell. So if you're wondering throughout this whole video, oh my gosh, did she get her haircut? Yes, I did. I just haven't mentioned it throughout the whole video. Wow. Talking for me today. It's just a struggle. School's a long day. Okay. So yes, I did get my haircut. So yeah, this is my video. If you guys like this video, make sure to please give it a thumbs up. My social media will be in the description box down below. And yeah, please like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.